Thank you so much for being here today. It's a pleasure to have such a wonderful group gathered for the launch of the Coalition for SafeBirth4All. And we are delighted to be here. As Edward Flynn said to me earlier, there's nowhere else I'd rather be. So for many people working on these issues of SafeBirth4All and working to prevent and to heal and to eradicate obstetric fistula has been a life's work. And we'll be hearing about some of those stories as we go through today. Our theme today really is this quote from Margaret Mead: "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed individuals can change the world. In fact, it's the only thing that ever has." I'd like to introduce myself because I'm your MC for the day, so there is no one to introduce me. I am Nadia Ramoutar, and I am the communications coordinator for the MMMs, the Medical Missionaries of Mary, who are pioneers in the area of obstetric fistula, as we will hear in a while as well. I'm very fortunate that I'm here as part of this coalition group today as one of the founding members. And this is an unusual day because we are here because of frustration. We're actually here because some people are just so tired of seeing so many millions of women suffer needlessly. And I feel a bit emotional in saying this to you. I'd like to start by telling you a story of a woman in a village who, through an arranged marriage, the woman was married to a much older gentleman. After some time, the woman was returned to her family because she was not getting pregnant. And that woman was then later on married to another man, and she went on to have 14 children. The woman I'm talking about is my grandmother. And the part of the story that I didn't know when I was a young girl was that my grandmother in Trinidad was married at 13. And as we know, one of the issues with obstetric fistula is that many young women around the world are married at very early ages and do not get an opportunity to have an education. But unfortunately, for many, it can be the end of their life. I have another little quick story for you about a woman who was giving birth during a hurricane. And the hospitals were closed and the roads were closed and everyone was evacuated, except the maternity ward and the A&E were left open. After 20 hours of natural labor, she had to have an emergency C-section. Now that story is mine. And I was very fortunate that I lived in a country where the hospital was able to stay open through generators, and I was fortunate that I was able to have an emergency C-section because I obviously would not have made it otherwise had I been in that hurricane in another part of the world. So one of the things I often say is that injustice comes when your geography is your destiny. So we would like to start our program today with a short video that will help us really see the important people that we're talking about today, who are the girls and women who have suffered, some for 50 years, with obstetric fistula. And of course, there are those women and girls who have no voices because they didn't make it. So this is a short film entitled Fistula, appropriately enough, and it was made by Yoke Productions from Dublin to raise awareness, reduce stigma about fistula, and to highlight the devastating impact fistula has on women who live with this condition. The goal of this film is to enhance public, national, and international awareness, raising the priority of women's reproductive health for low-resource countries, expanding access to emergency obstetric and surgical services, and supporting holistic and high-quality obstetric fistula care for all who need it. Through awareness raising, the film seeks to decrease the stigma imposed on women living with fistula. Fistula was filmed in Uganda at the Terrawode Women's Community Hospital and nearby villages, with funding support from the Maternal Health Fund, University of Minnesota, the Center for Global Health and Social Responsibility, and the Global Women's Initiative. The film was directed by Dervla Glynn and produced by Paddy Daly, who send their regrets that they cannot be here today. But we're going to take a look at this important film now. It's very short.